more days of Joe Biden being president. And then 7 days from now, we're going to have a new president. Well, sort of new, like a returning president. So it's still weird. We hadn't done this before. We haven't had a non-consecutive president in your lifetime. So excuse me if I stumble over that a little bit. My next guest is probably pretty excited about that. He works out in the oil patch, RT Trevino with the Crude Truth podcast, Pecos Country Energy. Welcome back to the James Show. Do y'all have any advance warning or notice of what some of these 100 executive orders are going to be on the first day? Because I think a lot of them are going to affect your industry, RT.
That is correct. We are very excited, and thanks for having me back on, James. We're hearing some rumors, so I cannot confirm nor deny on those 100 executive orders that we're very excited for come January 20th.
So what are y'all preparing for? What are you expecting?
We're expecting definitely to see the regulations be lowered and red tape be cut so that we can be able to, basically be able to produce oil and create ourselves as an energy independent nation once again under President Trump.
So should we have reason to believe that a year from now or 2 years from now, the price of gas could actually go down?
I'm glad you said that. I would like to think so. Right now, the current administration has really hindered that. For those of that don't know, the President Biden has basically raised the price of oil over 10% in less than 5 business days.
Oh, what happened there? That's gone under the radar.
What he did was he added more Russian oil sanctions against several Russian companies. And what those Russian companies are actually tanker fleets. And that has now restricted these tankers from delivering oil to anybody on the globe. And if any other countries were to take this oil, they would then get hit with economic sanctions from the United States.
Well, what happens if he sends them to China?
Well, that's a big reason why prices have gone up. China itself has actually restricted their major import port from taking these tankers as well. So with China not even being able to receive this oil, that's where the cost has really gone up.
Dude, is there not a pipeline from Russia to China?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Wow. What an oversight that is. Because I figured they were... Are they really allies, or are they just work together because we're their mutual enemy?
James, I wish I could answer that question one way or the other. I do know that the enemy of your enemy is my enemy or something like that. I have heard that once or twice in my time.
Yeah.
But right now, what we're looking at here is basically the Biden administration doing everything it can to hinder Trump coming into office on January 20th.
Are we going to get that Keystone XL pipeline ever finished?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to see, thousands of American jobs be created overnight. And then, of course, we would then be able to receive, at a good point, 800,000 barrels of oil from our neighbor and NATO ally, Canada.
Well, that's one of the interesting parts about the discussion of annexing Canada. If you just started west and worked your way east, don't annex the whole thing. Just say British Columbia, maybe Alberta. If you get those western parts, that's where the good oil is anyway.
You are right about where the good oil is there in Canada. But let's not keep in mind that they had elected Justin Trudeau. And so it probably would be a blue state coming into the United States, I'm sure.
Well, they have their own Trump-ish kind of guy that's probably going to succeed him, but we'll have that discussion whenever it's official. What other changes are you expecting in just 7 days, RT?
I think we're going to be expecting as an economy, just another bump. I'm expecting another good old-fashioned Trump bump like we had in 2017. And also, I do expect that, Doug Bergeron, the Department of Interior, and Chris Wright, who's now going to be the Department of Energy, are going to just continue to help not only the majors, but all the independent oil companies out there like Pecos Country Operating to produce more oil and, more importantly, fill up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
So tell me about these two guys. I don't know them. You sounded like you're familiar with them.
Well, Chris Wright is from Colorado, and he is the former CEO of Liberty Energy out there. It's a giant energy service company. And
Okay.
then, of course, Doug Bergeron, and I probably butchered his last name, is the former, and I say former, he probably still is at the moment, North Dakota governor. And the Department of Energy is very much involved in the oil and gas, and or excuse me, the Department of Interior is just as involved in the energy of America and the energy security that we provide, just like the Department of Energy.
Yeah, Doug Burgum. Doug
Burgum.
Burgum. Yeah.
Yeah, Burgum. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we do know of him, but I only know of him because he was one of the people on the short list for Trump's VP. So I guess this was his parting gift. RT, when are you going to get the Crude Truth going? I see you took a couple weeks off for the holidays. When's your next episode?
Yes, thanks for asking. We're going to kick the new year off here real soon. We're going to be bringing on some great individuals like Carr Ingham of the Texas Alliance of Energy Producers, David Blackman, who is a just energy expert. He writes for Reuters and also for Forbes, along with a great TCU doctor from Energy, Ed Island, and Stu Turley from the Energy Newsbeat. So get ready for a lot of great episodes this year.
All right. Well, if people cancel on you and you're in a pinch, you can always ask me if you need a guest. But I don't know more about oil than you do, so I don't know if I'd be a very good guest. Did you hear that, Garrett? There was a TCU guy in there who's going to be on the Crude Truth podcast. Thank you, RT Trevino.
Thank you, guys.
All right, coming up next, we're going to look at the California wildfire situation because, look, the fire, it's terrible. It's terrible. I feel sorry for all of those people. But we have to talk about what led to this. And really, the fun part is the media reaction. You have Team Red saying, oh, well, that's totally the fault of all the Democrats in charge in California. You have Team Blue saying, wow, that's totally Trump's fault or out of control climate change. Who's correct? I don't know, but you'll hear the audio from both sides coming up next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I really don't like the blame game, and I really don't like to insert politics where it just doesn't feel like it belongs. And part of the reason I didn't talk about the California wildfires for most of last week is because people were trying to shoehorn politics in there, and I felt like it was forced. And I think I was wrong on this one. I think politics does deserve a little bit of a discussion there. You heard the LAFD fire chief, Kristen Crowley, saying, listen, we didn't have any water, but we tried real hard. So she doesn't consider it a failing effort. The LAFD didn't fail. No, maybe the city leaders or the county leaders failed because the hydrants were dry, but they sure didn't fail. And I feel like this is you could draw a straight line between this and the participation trophy, because you went out there and you lost 6-0 in the round robin. You didn't even make the second day's tournament playoffs, and you still get a trophy. You're telling the kids, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how terrible you were at your chosen profession, your job. You still did great as long as you tried hard. Well, you and I know that's a farce. But current generation, we raised a lot of these people. And so for a lot of you listening, it's your fault. Now, I know probably not you, but there's someone listening out there that you raised some of these kids. You gave them the participation trophy. When my kids get a participation trophy, they're like, yay. And I'm like, don't get excited. Everybody got one. And I'm not trying to crap on them. I'm just telling them the truth. That's not an accomplishment. Getting last place is not something you should be happy with. It's much less celebrated. Because here we are. This is that ethos applied to the real world. Whether or not you had water, whether or not thousands of homes burned, as long as you tried hard. No, that's not very good. How about you try hard and you have the proper resources and you have the best people in places for the job and you're more concerned about a LAFD fireman being able to actually carry a person out of a building rather than, well, we made some other people feel good about themselves because the person looks like me. That means nothing now, does it? Means nothing when your house is burning. But here she is talking to the local TV station. Kudos to her for being this honest. I just don't know if she knows how bubble-headed this sounds.
Get them water, Chief, because I was with your firefighters and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning, and literally watching a house burn to the ground because they had no water.
That's exactly right. But did they continue to work, and did they continue to do what they had to do the best they could with what they had? Yes.
That's not a good answer. That's a terrible answer. Oh, my goodness. So the LAFD, the fire chief, doesn't know whether or not they have water. But I was playing you. I can go back and get it. I was playing you the audio last week where she was so proud because so many of her firemen are gay. Like, hey, I know your house is burning down, and I know we don't have any water, and I know they're just sitting there looking, but at least they're gay. What? No. This doesn't help. See, firemen need water to put out fires. They don't need lesbians. Now, if a lesbian was there and she had water, that would help too. The more important part is water. And I'm not even like anti-gay. I'm indifferent. If the person holding the hose is male, female, gay, whatever, heck, if we could train a dog to do it. We kind of need the water though. That's not like really fungible. Without water and with houses burning, it is a failed enterprise. I don't care how hard they tried. I don't care how emotionally invested they were in it. And she didn't have any idea. She admits it.
Sandra Endo, one of our anchors, wants to know if the department is advised that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was going to be emptied. Were you aware that there was no water there?
No, we weren't aware of that.
They don't have to advise
then you're
you?
dumb.
Not that I'm aware of,
You're
no.
fired.
So you had no idea that there wasn't such needed resource?
No, we weren't.
All right. Chief Kristen Crowley, again, Chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Thank you for talking to us. I know it's been a very exhaustive, emotional, and I imagine you're mad, and I imagine you're sad. You may not want to talk about that anger or that disappointment, but I can see it in your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
How at the end of a few minutes, talk to the fire chief about how she just failed over and over at her charge, with thousands of houses burning in the wake of these mistakes and governmental oversights. What was the last 15 seconds of that piece? Nothing but emotional, heartfelt sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to call it, for the fire chief. No criticism there. No, like, oh my God, you dummy, you didn't know if you had any water? You didn't, your job's to put out fires and you didn't check if there was any water? Oh my goodness. All right. Either these people in future times are going to continue to suffer under terrible management or they're going to change their voting patterns. And frankly, whichever path they choose, they're going to deserve what they get after that. Do we still send them help? I'm okay with Texas sending help at our dime, but we can't make this a yearly thing. We can't make this a every year thing. You're going to have to learn how to fight your own fires at some point. Okay, well, this is an extraordinary situation. We'll do this again. But did they send us help when we had our wildfires a couple of years ago? What was that in 2023 when we were getting all ate up? Did they send us help? I don't remember them sending us help. I hadn't really looked into it, but I'd be interested to see how reciprocal this is, or if we're just helping these people out in their time of painful incompetence. 800-288-9227 if you have any comments on that. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Jim Varney, the politics of the L.A. wildfires. Huh? Oh, okay. Good. We'll have Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on. Sorry, we had a switch in the schedule here. He's from our sister station and the #1 major market station in America, according to the Marconi Awards. He's from The Ticket. And big breaking news happened right before the James Show started. Cowboys have parted ways with their head coach, Mike McCarthy. That's coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Ooh, part of that extra enthusiasm you're hearing right now on the James Show is Cowboys fans. I think some of them are pretty happy about Mike McCarthy getting the boot. My next guest is going to have a little more insight on I do, because this is what he does for his day job over at our sister station, The Ticket, which now your show comes on at 9 o'clock. First off, congratulations on the extra hour, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you get an hour's more work and probably the same pay. What a
We
deal.
won't talk about that now.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think people listen and understand. No, that's still a good deal for us. We get an extra hour of work for the same pay. Most of us want a longer show up until it gets to about 4 hours. Then we're like, I don't want to go 5. But,
yeah, when I first started at The Ticket, I was doing a 2-hour show. Now I'm doing a 4-hour show. They've doubled me. I don't know what's going on.
yeah. Well, look, twice as much exposure for you is the positive side of it. That's how they'll sell it to you. All right. So let's talk about Mike McCarthy being let go. Was that the right move? The dude went, 12-5 for 3 seasons before he laid an egg this year. And a lot of people look at the injuries and whatnot and say, was this really his fault? Does he really deserve to go?
It is so much more complicated than did he deserve to get the boot, because you're going to get a different reaction from a lot of different people, because this organization, man, just for over the years, I think they asked Mike McCarthy to do the same job with a lot less talent here. So I almost feel like he was set up to fail this year. When Jerry early in the year said, I'm all in, this is exactly what he meant.
Yeah, but he let a bunch of people go. Like Tony Pollard just walked out the door when we didn't have a replacement for him. We lost some guys on the defense.
Tyron Smith walked out the door.
Yeah.
Lawrence Armstrong walked out the door. You had a lot of talent that walked out the door. You didn't replace that leadership, but you expected a lot more from a coach who went to the Super Bowl a long, long time ago. Like, I know, I got it. He won a championship.
In 2011?
That was about 12, 13 years ago. So you kind of expect, all right, if you're going to go and expect this coach to get to a championship game for the first time for this team since like 95, 96, you got to give him something to fight with. So I think he was set up to fail this year. But I will say that he's the play caller. This is his offense. And this offense took 17 steps back this year. It didn't even matter about the injuries. When they weren't injured, this offense just wasn't good. And you can see that early on this year. And if it's his offense, then maybe there needed to be a change in that, because you got your quarterback invested, you're invested in your wide receiver, you got one of the best wide receivers in the league, but you don't have any skill position players around them. And it just felt like it took too long for this offense to start clicking. And that's just a no-no when your head coach is calling the plays. So while I thought it was you needed a change in offense, again, I think the Cowboys always wait too late to do things. If they would have fired Mike McCarthy after the Green Bay playoff game, it would have been justified. If they would have fired Mike McCarthy this year after losing 5 games straight and losing them in the worst fashion ever, that would have been justified. Now it just kind of feels like they're being petty because they didn't let them talk to Chicago when Chicago asked for permission.
Yeah.
And then you don't get them back. Like, they're just doing things such the wrong way here. And they're trying to kind of let everyone know that they are doing things the right way, and it's just not translating.
Why do I have a feeling Kellen Moore's going to be his replacement?
Well, I think that's probably the best feeling in the world, because I think Jerry and Steven are going to make a pick that's comfortable for them, not to advance the franchise, but to kind of push exactly what they think or how this franchise should keep going. And I think Kellen Moore, they will be way comfortable with him here because he's been here and he knows exactly how it's run. He knows that the owner and GM will chop out the knees from underneath the coach and do whatever he says. So if he knows that, that's how you know things aren't really going to be different if Kellen Moore gets hired. I'm not trying to knock his accomplishments.
No, but we saw the exact same thing here, Donovan, with Jason Garrett. He was a guy who way back in the day was a backup quarterback who held the clipboard for years, and then he was an assistant on the staff and kind of worked his way up and was given the head coach job not because he was the best guy available, but because he was the best guy available that was willing to be a puppet.
And it's funny because he was hired before the head coach before him. Jason Garrett was hired as offensive coordinator before they hired Wade Phillips. So it was like, yes, this guy's going to take your job. We just don't know when. And then all of a sudden it happened. Like, you don't have that here, but there's no way Jerry Jones is going to let Kellen Moore or anyone else decide who's going to be on their coaching staff.
What about
because a new coach will want to bring his people in so he can succeed, and they always have to have their hands in it.
All right, so some of the other guys that are in the discussion, like a lot of these guys have buyout contracts, like a Bill Belichick or a Sarkisian or whatever. Nick Saban is a free agent without a buyout contract, isn't he? What do you think about him being the next coach?
I think if they are doing their due diligence and everybody's kind of casting a wide net, all the teams who need coaches feel like they're just interviewing any and everybody. And I think if they want to do their homework, they could pick up the phone and call him and ask him. Why not? He's been there and done that. Not in the NFL, but he's a championship winning coach in college. So why not try to have him come in? But I think coaches like that will say, all right, I'll come coach for you, but I got to pick my own staff. You got to get your nose out of this. That's how this is how I want to do things. And I don't know if Jerry and Stephen will say, okay, you can have it. I think they're going to always say, well, I don't know about that. This is the way we've been doing things forever, and we're going to keep doing it that way.
All right, Donovan Lewis, the eternal pessimist part of me. It's not the majority. It's about 20% of my brain says that there's no reason to get excited no matter who it is because we are destined for failure as long as Jerry Jones insists on meddling in the team and being the general manager. Is that too cynical?
No, it's not. It's just way too big of a sample size for it not to be. Now, there are some names you can put out there that could give you some excitement. But I think some of those names are young, hot offensive coordinators around the league that probably won't give the entire fan base like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe they hired this guy. But it will say, man, that may be the best situation for the team to try and maximize the window of the quarterback that you're invested in, of the wide receiver that you're invested in, and kind of get people around that can improve this team. Like Jerry wants somebody that's been there and done that. And he got Mike McCarthy, and that's why he brought him in. And in 5 years, they didn't even get close to doing it. So now it's like, do you go the reverse and get someone that seems like they're on the cusp that may take a year or two to get going, but they'll get it like Dan Campbell did in Detroit? Or do you go for the old, true, proven guy that's been there and you know how they're going to be and you know what avenue they're going to try to take to get better? So this is I'm trying not to overstate this, but this is the most important decision they've had to make in a long time. They've got to get this right. And I just don't know if I trust them to get it right or not.
So Kellen Moore it is, I guess. Donovan,
it feels like that way. It feels like that may happen.
Donovan Lewis from 1310 The Ticket. He's co-host of The Invasion. And you're on 9-1?
9-1, yes, sir.
There you go. All right, thank you very much for your time again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
From the greatest major market station in the country, Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 The Ticket. They won the Marconi last year for Station of the Year. Not Sports Station of the Year. Station of the Year. Thought that was pretty cool. Coming up next, Mark Zuckerberg was on the Joe Rogan podcast that came out on Friday, and he admitted that the Biden administration was leaning on Facebook for censorship, not just of things that they disagreed with, but things that were true. I'm going to play the audio and tell you why this should just blow the lid off of the fascism debate that we've been having as an undercurrent for the last however many years. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. A couple of show updates. Number one, we are going to be having another James Show meetup. This one's going to be finally in Fort Worth. We found a bar that is a James Show listener. There's one, at least in Fort Worth. So it's Shaw's on Magnolia, just south of downtown. It's on the Strip. January 28th. This is not an official station event. We are going to informally style this as the James Show first birthday party, even though I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been on WBAP for 1 year now. Do not bring me presents. That's so weird. I don't want them anyway, and I didn't get you anything, so it's always weird. But do bring friends, and don't just come meet me. I want y'all to meet each other. I want, James Show listeners to know other James Show listeners, and y'all be friends, and we can just all be this whole community. We can start rumors about each other and things like that. And then also, I want you to spend a ton of money at Shaw's. Don't eat before you come. Just come, just bone dry, dehydrated, thirsty, and starving. Fast for 2 days before you go. Because if we spend enough money here, then I can turn around and I'll be like, hey, Ann Shaw owns the joint. If you want this to happen again, maybe you need to buy a package from WBAP. And I have no shame in doing that because I'm an avowed, proud free market capitalist pig. Thank you. Our audience appreciates that. But now that that's out the way, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg was on the Joe Rogan podcast on Friday, and he admits to Biden censoring on Facebook. And it's not just censoring like they came in and they're like, hey, can you take this down? This isn't true. Or, hey, can you take this down? This is, fire in a crowded theater. They were wanting him to take stuff down that was absolutely true. They were also wanting him to take stuff down that was satire, but political in nature. Isn't that odd? So here's a chunk of that interview.
The interactions that that I was just referring to, I mean, a lot of this is documented. I mean, because Jim Jordan and the House had this whole investigation and committee into the kind of government censorship around stuff like this, and we produced all these documents, and it's all in the public domain. I mean, basically, these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Oh, did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They want us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, this sort of class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we just said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then all these different agencies and branches of government basically just started investigating, coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
It was brutal. Started coming after his company. So when they open these investigations, or because we've suspected that these antitrust inquiries and whatnot, this was all to what? To politically lean on him. Well, now that he admitted it, we can go ahead and draw some other conclusions from that. But I'm going to take this at an angle that you probably hadn't heard anywhere else, because the importance of Mark Zuckerberg admitting that the Biden administration was leaning on him to censor things that were true and things that were political. We just filled out the whole Yahtzee card on fascism for, Democrats, liberal, progressives, Team Blue, whatever you want to call them these days. And by the Yahtzee card, this is something we've been keeping track of. I did a great segment on fascism this summer, and we've kind of been using it as our checklist because there was a viral video of an interview from 2001 of this Austrian lady who grew up under fascism. She was just a regular old Austrian, and then Hitler took over, and she spelled out all the changes he made. And not he was mean, or he was a bad guy, or he was racist or sexist. We're talking about significant policy changes. And this was just another check mark in that long list. To remind you, here's the montage.
So the first thing what happened, we had to carry national ID cards. The newspaper, before it hit the street, it was being censored by the government.
Censored.
Everybody was getting a guaranteed income from the government. In order to achieve that, they had to raise our taxes up to 70%. Those who were on the lower income level, they got subsidized housing, food stamps, they got heating fuel.
Okay, so in this montage, you can hear she is going through a list of policies that are just 100% ripped from the Democrat playbook. The only one that was fuzzy there was the censorship one. And here's what you missed on the rest. Here's the whole list on the montage. National ID, which they've pushed for before. They tried to sneak it into Obamacare. Government censorship, universal basic income, high taxes on the rich, public housing, food stamps, encouraging women in the workplace, free daycare, abolition of religion from public schools, a distrust of parents. They want to nationalize major industries like healthcare. They're very pro-abortion. They're pro-euthanasia. They're pro-gun control. They're pro-war. And they're pro-race-based policies and laws. This was the only one that really had a gray area, government censorship, on that whole list that this Austrian refugee made. And they just filled out the Yahtzee card on this. This is government censorship. This is the government telling a platform you need to censor this based on its political content. And if they don't, there's going to be negative consequences. They are going to use the powers at their disposal in their positions of government to go compel, intimidate, harass, and force the private sector to comply. Ladies and gentlemen, we just reached full fascism right there. And you got the people that are crying about all fascism all over the place. Donald Trump's a fascist. J.D. Vance is a fascist. Team Red's a fascist. When they got fascism right in front of their face. And no concern. No concern? View? Nothing about that? No, I don't. View, what did you have to say about the fascism here? About him like literally censoring speech on the platform? Oh, nothing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Coming up next, we're going to play Dead or Alive for 2 tickets to see Alison Krauss in Union Station, featuring Jerry Douglas. So since we're doing awesome country music, we're going to do Country Music Legends. Dead or Alive, the Country Music Legend edition next on The James Show. If you want to play, go ahead and call in now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227, because it's Dead or Alive next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, it's time to play one of our game shows here. This is the easier one. This is Dead or Alive. We're going to be playing for a couple of tickets here. And some guy, Mr. Jovi, made the intro. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. He's got a good voice. He should try a career. Welcome to Dead or Alive. I am your host, James Parker. Today's special edition of Dead or Alive is the Country Music Legends edition of Dead or Alive because we're playing for 2 tickets to see Alison Krauss and Union Station featuring Jerry Douglas. It's coming to the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory. It's that place in Irving just up the road from us, May 31st. For more information and tickets, the rest of us have to visit livenation.com, but someone's going to win some tickets here, and we will start with Brenda. Brenda, you ready to play Dead or Alive?
I'm ready.
All right. The Country Legends editions, we're going to start with George Strait. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
Alive. 72 years old. David Allan Coe. You never call me by my name. David Allan Coe. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
Yes. 85 years old. I had to look that one up too, so I don't feel bad, Brenda. Next one, Mel McDaniel. Dead or alive?
Alive.
No, passed away. Don't hang up. I'm going to put you on hold. Maybe if a bunch of people drop the ball, we can cycle back around to you. But we're going to Rick in Fort Worth. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Merle Haggard. Dead or alive?
Dead.
He is dead. Willie Nelson. Dead or alive?
Alive.
Yes. 91 years old. Surprised he's not governor of Texas yet. Travis Tritt. You hadn't seen him do anything since the 90s. Is that because he's dead or retired?
He's alive and retired.
Yes, 63 years old. He's not even that old. Just hadn't seen him in a while. The great Randy Travis. Dead or alive?
Alive.
Live. Only 65 years old. One of the great baritones of all time. Clint Black. Dead or alive?
Alive.
Alive, yeah. Just hadn't seen him do much lately. Well, you're really running through it here, Rick. You got 2 left. Charlie Pride, dead or alive?
Dead.
Dead, yes. Just died in 2020. And finally, he's a common man. He drives a common van. His dog ain't got a pedigree. John Conley, dead or alive?
Alive.
Man, well, killed it. Yes, John Conley's alive. Rick in Fort Worth. Congratulations. Now, a couple questions here. Are you also fans of Alison Krauss and Union Station?
Oh, she's my favorite.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm happy you won. Rick in Fort Worth. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Hey, maybe you need to, I can guilt you into coming to the James Show birthday party at Shaw's in Fort Worth, January 28th. Just.
I'll check my schedule. I'll see.
Yeah, well, it helps if I put people on the spot in front of God and everybody and ask. All right, I put Rick on hold. Garrett's going to get you information. Rick will email you the tickets. And Brenda, sorry for playing. You guys on hold. Sorry. Rick was just too damn good today. You didn't even get a shot at it. David and Forney and Brian in Plano. I appreciate it. This has been today's episode of Dead or Alive. All right, a couple things coming up. A couple of sound bites here. Something I've been tracking with you is, do you know who Russell Brand is? He's an actor who did a string of okay movies, kind of a hit or miss guy. I think he's really funny. His stand-up was hilarious. But he's gone from a guy who was an outspoken, just a volcano of Team Blue political advocacy, and now he kind of followed the same drifty path that you saw from Joe Rogan and Ricky Gervais and Dave Rubin and so many of these other guys who used to be Team Blue. They moved into Team Red, but Russell Brand also, he was one of the foulest, most perverted guys that you could possibly point to in the public sphere. And he is now making a big chunk of his stage act about Jesus. Okay, Jesus is cool again. You'll hear the audience next from Katy Perry's ex-husband, Russell Brand. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Russell Brand is a guy who, in the beginning of his political career, was kind of a comedic version of a shock jock. He used to say and do things, and he came out of England, and he would say and do things almost with the specific intent of disgusting people. And one of the targets of his cringe comedy was oftentimes Christian, the moral right. And he did things like, I don't know how to say this. He, with his digits, made a homeless man very happy. But he did it as a bit for TV. He did it for internet clout. He did it for clicks and streams. He was married to Katy Perry for a while, but he was notoriously promiscuous and bragged about it. He wasn't particularly concerned with the gender of the person he was in bed with, and he bragged about that. He was pretty loose with his drug use, and he bragged about that. So he one day goes to rehab for the 84th time or whatever it was. And this time it clicks because he found Jesus. And so now we have a guy who used to be just totally bathed in all the sin, the vulgarity, the sexual promiscuity, the drugs, the money, the fame, the vanity, all that. And I don't know. When's the last time you've seen a transformation like this? It happens. It just doesn't get promoted. It doesn't get trumpeted in the media because it totally kills the narrative. Because there's a whole lot of guys who over the last 20 years, girls included, who thought Russell Brand was cool, who thought the movies he did was cool. The movie he did with Jonah Hill, Get Him to the Greek. Man, he was hilarious in that. He's a really talented guy. He's a really funny guy. And to hear him come out and say all these great things about religion, well, this has to be hidden under a bushel, pun totally intended. Because if all his fans find out about the great things that Jesus has done for him, well, they may be curious to look into it for themselves, and we may accidentally have a whole bunch of other people come to Jesus, and we can't have that. That totally kills the narrative. My God, they stop hating Jesus. All of a sudden, a couple steps later, they're going to be voting for Team Red. Well, we can't have that happen. But here he is. This is a piece of his act, not that a fan recorded, edited out, and put up online. Out of everything in his act, this is something that he posted on his X account. So of the hour-long act that Russell Brand did, this was the 1 minute he wanted to share with everybody. And what an amazing turnaround this guy has had.
In England, it's like they've tried to make Jesus boring. No disrespect to the Church of England, because I've met some brilliant and beautiful people in the Church of England since coming to our Lord, and they've educated me and they've held me and they've instructed me beautifully. But overall, it seems like in England, they're trying to make Christianity seem like it's boring, as if it's kind of grey and dull, like you might sort of tepidly and tremulously slither into some church. In the beginning. And like when you read from Genesis to Revelation, there's fire and power and angels and demons and resurrection. And amidst us now, beyond the limitations of our senses, surely if we could but see with new eyes, we would know that we're surrounded even now, that they are among us, our guardian angels and other forces yet, which if we do not submit, might wield power that we would not have them wield.
What in the heck? That's Russell Brand now? Russell Brand, the guy that was manually given out, with homeless dudes for a bit. Wow. What an amazing transformation. That's so great to see with your own eyes. The other audio I wanted to share from you, Adam Carolla. Speaking of Los Angeles firefighters, he was brought in front of some committee. I don't know if this was in Congress in D.C. or if this was in the California state legislature, but it looked like one of those types of hearings. And all I could see was Adam Carolla at a desk. So I'm not sure where it is. Heck, it might have been in a well-decorated coffee shop, but it looks like he's in some sort of legislative hearing. He tells his story about the L.A. Fire Department and his white privilege.
I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps, and I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see you in about 7 years. And I went to a construction site and dug ditches and picked up garbage for the next 7 years. I got a letter in the mail sent to my father's house saying, your time has come to do the written exam for the LA Fire Department. I took it, and I was standing in line, and I had a young woman of color standing behind me in line, and I said, just out of curiosity, when did you sign up to become a fireman? Because I did it, or a person, 7 years ago. And she said, Wednesday. That is an example of my white privilege.
So delicious. Institutional racism right there in front of your face, and the people who claim that their entire life is rooting out institutional racism got nothing to say about that. In fact, since that's part of the system, well, couldn't you say that's systemic racism? Oh. And then I have a Facebook message from Brandon who says, do you find it ironic the Chargers are playing, they have a playoff game tonight, in a stadium sponsored by the insurance company that canceled all the fire policies in California? That's right. They're playing in Glendale, Arizona at the State Farm Stadium. Now, technically, it's in Arizona, but I think State Farm doesn't deserve any criticism for that. I think State Farm was proven right when they pulled out last April, because they looked at the lay in the ground and they said, LA Fire Department is not in a good position to defend the citizens of LA County should there be a wildfire. And LAFD said, not only are we in a good position, we can make budget cuts. We have too much resources. We have too much water. We can just get all this. Turns out who was right and who was wrong? State Farm was right. And the people who were running California, specifically LA County, were wrong. Not State Farm. And then also, if you have any strong opinions on Keller ISD splitting into 2 districts, send me an email or whatnot. I'm thinking about doing a topic on that later this week. It seems like a pretty cool situation. I just don't know if the rest of DFW would care as much as the people in Keller, but I'm looking at it. Send me an email to james@wbap.com or find me on Facebook and tell someone about the James Show first birthday party. We're going to do Shaw's January 28th. That's a Tuesday. Sometime after 7-ish, you can just show up. It's not an official event or anything. Just tell people about it, and let's start spreading the word. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. Mark Levin is up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.